Please welcome Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz.
Check. All right, we're good.
All right, well, thank you for being here. Yeah. Can you all hear us? Yes?
Yes.
A little louder?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll go louder here. So you got a standing ovation before you even said anything. That's pretty good. Just wait for the reaction.
Hopefully that happens at the end, too.
That's right. The video that we just saw spoke of an audience of one, and that doesn't make sense at all unless you understand where you've come from, and how you've become a Christian. And I wondered, just to kind of get started, if you would share how that happened. And while you're sharing, I don't want to be a distraction, but I do have about 10 students with prepared questions that I would like to come forward at this time, just to be ready when he's done with this. Are you here? Yeah, you're here. Good. All right, so take it away.
Yeah, so it all started, I guess, back when I was pretty young. I remember going to class, and one of my classmates, his dad was a pastor, and I started talking to him, like, what are you talking about? What does your dad do? Started talking about this heaven thing, and I'm like, okay, what's heaven? Went home and asked my grandma. I was like, how do I get to heaven? And I remember I was probably 6 when I prayed a prayer with my grandmother to accept Jesus, and I'll never forget that. My grandma will never forget that. She talks about it all the time. But then from that day on, growing up, being a kid who was so active in sports, that really kind of was all I cared about. Was sports and school. And so that kind of continued through elementary school, middle school, high school. I was a Christian. I went to church at times. I was a good kid. I stayed out of trouble, but I didn't really know what it meant to be a Christian. I didn't really know Jesus personally. It wasn't really real in my life yet. And I remember my senior year in the summer going into college, my grandmother gave me a devotional. And so I started reading it. I started asking my parents if we could go to church more often. So I was definitely searching for, trying to figure out my faith a little bit. Lo and behold, it was one of the first couple days of fall camp. We're out at practice, and the senior quarterback at the time, who was actually the third string quarterback, we're sitting there stretching, and he goes, "Hey bro, you ever read the Bible?" I'm just like kind of taken back for a second. I'm like, we're at football practice. I'm a freshman, trying to learn the playbook right now. We got practice starting in 2 minutes, and you're asking me about the Bible. But then it sunk in, and I'm like, okay, this is meant to happen because I've clearly been searching. So long story short, I ended up meeting up with him once a week for that whole first semester. Read through the whole New Testament with him. Kind of everything just came alive. My eyes really just opened up to what I believed, why I believed, to a bigger picture for what I was doing here. And I'm very thankful for that conversation we had that first day on the football field. And then through college, it was, it's never, as Christians, we all know it's never like this. You're never just constantly growing. Life comes your way, and it's tough. Different things happen, but as long as you have that foundation, he keeps running back to you. He keeps pulling you back to him somehow, some way, and I'm very thankful for that. So it was really cool throughout college getting the chance to kind of talk with some of the younger guys on the team, witness to them, had some awesome opportunities here and there that I touched on earlier a little bit, and then finally my senior year is so I had been meeting up with guys, getting poured into a lot. My senior year, I finally felt called, I should probably lead some small groups, should probably start meeting up with some kids, some teammates, some younger teammates, and started helping guide them, and so I just felt, that's what we're called to do. So that was really cool, and then, which led me to the draft. That's kind of the fast version of everything, which led me to the draft, and leading up to the draft was a whole bunch of emotions. as my senior year in college, broke my wrist, had no idea, what was coming next. Like, I knew I wanted to play professional football, had no idea would I be drafted, would I be a middle round guy, first, like, I had no idea. It was a lot of unknowns. And so I just had to trust the Lord through that. It was tough. I broke my wrist, didn't know, was frustrated, but then I just turned it over to the Lord. And then through the process, my biggest concern, and I told lots of people this, was that I would find that God would put me on a team where I could grow spiritually. That was like, I'm kind of a planner, so the whole having no idea what city of 30 different cities I'm going to end up with was kind of stressful. But I just turned it over to the Lord and said, He's going to put me where He wants me. At the end of the day, He's going to put me where He wants me. So I just trusted in that. Again, easier said than done, but at the end of the day, that was what I was founded on. And He put me here in Philadelphia, and I was so excited. And then the first couple of days of being there with the new teammates and everything, it's so clear, and we just have a great team of believers, such a really good core group of guys that are also the core group of guys on the team as well. But as believers, to just, you show up at 6 a.m. to work, and you got, for example, a guy like Jordan Matthews quizzing me on what we read last night in our Bible, or talking about Bible verses and stuff. So that's just so encouraging. I'm so thankful, and so I'm just really excited for what God has in store for this city. Obviously on the field, we hope we are very successful. I know hopefully most of you are hoping the same thing. But I know earlier I saw some Giants fans, and we don't like to talk about those. Hopefully no Cowboys fans, I don't know. But obviously on the field, we obviously hope for success. But off the field, I think something special can start happening here in Philadelphia with the core group of guys that we have, and what God has done in our lives. So that's a bit of my testimony there.
All right, well, we have some students who have some prepared questions. These are questions they wrote that are here to ask their questions. Come on out.
Hi, Mr. Wentz. My name is Christian Roberts. I'm a 12th grader here. My question is, why did you choose to play for North Dakota State University?
Well, first of all, I grew up in North Dakota, so I was very familiar with what North Dakota State was doing football-wise. To football fans, they realize North Dakota State is FCS, so it's not the full bowl subdivision as it's called. So obviously I had dreams of playing at a higher level. As a junior in high school, I had injuries, so I was hurt and I missed the recruiting train. I actually didn't play quarterback as a junior, so I was recruited very late, kind of came out of nowhere. All of a sudden I was growing a bunch. I started at 5'8" in high school as a freshman, ended up at 6'5". God bless my parents, buying all sorts of clothes. And so it kind of was just a whirlwind for me a little bit. And so then North Dakota State, as well as a bunch of other FCS schools kind of in that area, were offering me scholarships. And once I went to North Dakota State, it felt right. And at the end of the day, I wanted to win. I just felt they were heading in the right direction. Winning is what mattered to me at that time, football-wise. And, all the schools had what I was looking to go into. And 5 years, graduating 5 years with 5 rings, I think I made the right decision there.
Thank you.
My name is Josh Fisher, and I'm a sophomore here at Homestead. And my question for you, Carson, is how is it different playing for the Eagles versus North Dakota State?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're paid to do it and stuff.
Yeah. That is a difference. I guess the biggest thing is, the speed of the game in the NFL is fast. It's the best players in the world playing out there on Sundays. So that's pretty cool. I think, playing in Philadelphia, the city, with the passion the fans have, for me is actually quite comparable. Because at North Dakota State, a lot of you might not even know what's going on in North Dakota, but everybody in North Dakota knows what the Bison are doing in football. So the fans are very similar, obviously just on a bigger scale. And then just the attention that the NFL brings about for all the players, puts you in the spotlight, pretty much all the time. So that's a big difference and a big transition, continuing to get used to that. But I wouldn't trade it for the world at the same time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Artie Michael and I'm a senior. How did you balance academics and athletics so well and succeed with both?
So you're the one that gave me the sticky note to follow you on Instagram? Right here. Right here. Anyway, great question. Back to the question. I was wondering if you'd show up. I think for me, I'm kind of a planner. So being organized was the biggest key. You know, to not procrastinate. You know, a lot of guys will just push it off to the last night, push it off to the last night. And so for me, just being organized. You know, I knew, okay, I got class from noon to 1, and then I have an hour and a half break. I'm going to go and get my homework done then, or I'm going to go and watch film then. You know, I kind of woke up each day like with a plan. And that's not for everybody, but for me, I knew kind of how I operated. And then also when it comes to academics, you kind of got to know how you learn best. And for me, like I needed to go listen to music and kind of have no distractions, be at a desk, work. And some guys can just sit on a couch and do homework. And I needed to, you know, be in a quiet place with music and everything. So it's just kind of knowing yourself and just being organized with everything.
Gotcha. And one last question. Will you lead us to the promised land?
I thought you were only giving one question. That's the plan. That's the plan. Hopefully sooner than later.
Thank you.
I'm Grace Worthington and I'm a sophomore. Who has influenced you the most throughout your life?
Probably the most influential person in my life would probably be my older brother. He's 3 years older than me. I shared some of this in the last talk, but for me as a kid, you know, he was very successful in both academics and athletics, pretty much everything he did, and I was always called Zach's brother. Like no one ever knew my name, I was always Zach's brother. So for me, like he was my standard. Like we'd go out and play wiffle ball, we'd go shoot hoops in the driveway, whatever we were doing, I just had to beat him, and it didn't happen very often, if ever. So he was always my standard, and now growing up, you know, now he's my little brother, I'm bigger than him. But, you know, we've just maintained an awesome relationship. You know, we've been through so many things with our family, personal lives. You know, he went to North Dakota State as well.